All right. Um, Good morning to all of you, and welcome to the Tales of Immortality. Because every day I wake up, it's about telling Christ in various ways. And this morning, at my balcony, I have some thoughts. So these are thoughts coming from me from my balcony. I think that sometimes we let our humanity get off the way of our divinity. Because when storms come, when difficulties come into our lives, it hits your humanity. But if the humanity does not respond from the divinity, then the humanity becomes weakened by the storm that brings forth weakness to it. Guys, I'm speaking in this way because we all go through issues. In our marriages, we go through issues. There's turbulence sometimes in our career, in our businesses, life in general, because the enemy will throw those trials at you. The enemy will tempt you and will tempt you from the point of your humanity. And it was Paul who said in Romans chapter 5, he says, but glory in tribulation, because tribulation will reveal the patience. Patience will give you experience, and experience will bring forth hope, and the hope will bring forth the love of God that we are all gearing towards and living inside. And I was telling a friend of mine yesterday that everything will be reconciled back into the love of God. So the troubles and the sufferings you have, and when Paul uses the term or the phrase, glory in suffering or glory in tribulation, it means that when the storm comes, the opinion you have must be the opinion of the Father who carries your divinity, whose divinity works in you. And so we all carry that divinity of God because Christ dwells inside of us. But when the enemy comes, he tempts your humanity. Even James, in James chapter 1, made the same. He said, when your faith is tried, it reveals what? Patience. And let patience have its work. And at the end of the day, the patience will bring forth the wisdom. The wisdom will now let you know that God loves you and He's the one who will cater for you. And I was speaking to the bishop of Calvary Crystal Church, and he made mention of the word patience. And I've been meditating on it, and I was wondering why he was telling me to be patient. And waking up this morning, my spirit has been elevated because I know that the patience of God, or the patience called God, will be manifested in me. In the trials I would face, the difficulties that are coming, and the challenges that the enemy brings forth. And I am putting a confident expectation on God to know that His life, His divinity, His immortality in me will be brought forth to show what kind I am. And that takes me all the way back to when Jesus was in the ship, and the storm and the wind and the water were blazing and flaming, and the storm was very tough. The humanity of the disciples were looking to save themselves. And sometimes when we care so much about humanity, we sometimes cannot find rest, cannot find the ability of the divinity that lives in us, that gives us the wisdom for which we operate by, or for which we live by, or having the consciousness of that divinity in us to solve every situation that we find ourselves. So Jesus did not wake up to pull the sail, to drag it. And sometimes when the storms come, it is not your power. When the storms hit your marriage, it is not your wisdom, what you think is right for you to do. Whether to stay or to leave is not subject to your opinion. It's subject to the opinion of the divinity of God that dwells in us. And I'm speaking to many hearts this morning because sometimes you think that the only way is to give up. You think that the only way is to walk away. You think that the only way is to find a means. But you cannot heal yourself. You cannot save yourself. And the disciples tried. And when they went to the master, they said, Master, we are about to die, because the humanity will see death. But the divinity knows that even in death, I will give you life. And when Jesus came, he says, be still. And he was speaking from his divinity, because he knows that the storm can carry his body away, but the Father has the ability to raise him from the dead. And that is the consciousness. That is the mentality. That is the mind of Christ. And that is how he was able, from the time he was arrested, he knew that he trying to defend himself from the flesh is not what is going to save him. And what Peter did, he said, no, Peter, that is not the way. That is not the sword. If you live by the sword of this world, of your humanity, you will die by the sword of your humanity. But you will live by the word, which is the sword of God. And that is where healing comes from. That is where salvation comes from. That is where immortality comes from. That is where being lifted and being exalted comes from, even in the midst of the storms that comes knocking at your door. And when he was walking through the kangaroo courts, through the problems, you could see the fruit of the Spirit manifesting. He saw the love of God. He saw the meekness of God. He saw the patience of God. He saw the self-control. He saw the faithfulness of God. It was manifested in him because he did not depend on his humanity. And I'm saying the same thing to you because I want you to know that in every problem you find yourself, let the opinion of the divinity of God be the one to be the answer. Let it answer the storm. Let it speak to the storm. Let Jesus in you speak to the storm. Don't speak and respond. Don't dialogue with the storms, because the storms will tell you what you must do to save yourself. The storms will tell you, walk out of that marriage. The storms will tell you that this is not good enough for you. The storm will bring condemnation in your heart towards one another, in your business, in your career, in whatever it is you're going through. I want you to look to the opinion. If you cannot see God in your suffering, if you cannot see God in your difficulties, if you cannot see God in your trials, you will only see your flesh and the wisdom of your flesh trying to do something. At the end, it will bring forth death. And many have left marriages, many have left careers, many have left businesses, many have given up, they committed suicide because they simply could not hear the voice of immortality. And even on the cross, Jesus said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. Yet, even when he was being mocked, when he was naked, when he was in shame, when he was being spat on, when they used the toilet brush to soak it in water and vinegar to give him to him to drink, when blood oozed out of him to the point whereby water came out, he never depended on his own ability. He could have called legions of angels to come to his rescue when they said, if you're really the Son of God, why won't you save yourself and save me? And people sometimes want to save themselves. They want to take themselves off the cross. But if your hands are nailed to the cross, how can you gather life for yourself? I'm asking you these questions, and I want you to question your heart. Is anything too hard for God to do? Is anything too difficult for God to do? Why won't you place a confident expectation? And sometimes when we say we fear God, we don't know that it is we putting a confident expectation on the goodness and the love of God. In your storms, in your trials, in your tribulations, in your persecutions, do you behold the love of God? And Jesus himself, when his humanity became so heavy in carrying our sins and looking forward to the death that was to happen to all men, he says, Father, if this should pass, let this cross, let this cup pass over me. It was his humanity speaking. His humanity will say, oh, Father, why have you forsaken me? But the divinity will say, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. Your humanity will say, let this cross that you're supposed to carry, let it pass over. I don't want to carry it anymore. But God has placed you in a place where the enemy has brought trials, but God knows that he is the one who carries your cross. When we say carry the cross, it simply means carry the mind of God in every situation you find yourself. So when Jesus says that carry your cross and follow me, saying that carry the expectation we have of the Father, knowing that the Father will bring forth immortality in us, carry that same mindset, carry that wisdom, carry that knowledge that no matter what it is, you will not depend on your own ability. Some people are striving. And I always say that marriage is not for those who work hard, but for those who depend on God to navigate the storms for them. And so sometimes all you need to do is to rest. And Jesus, even after making that statement, let the cup pass over, he said what? But Father, not my will, but your will. So I want to encourage you that no matter what it is you're going through, no matter what difficulties it is you're going through, let your divinity speak and let your divinity say that let the will of God be done. Rest and let God navigate your marriage. Let God navigate your finances. Let God navigate your business. Let God navigate your ministry. Your ministry probably might have existed for many years. Be patient, even if it's one or two people. God knows what he is doing. Don't give up. Don't be enticed by majority. Keep going, keep pushing, keep speaking the truth. Regardless of the audience you have, they will throw bananas at you. They will throw things at you. They will mock you. But I want you to listen in patience, knowing that that patience is going to bring forth experience. And that experience will let you know and hope and put a hope. And your hope is anchored on the one who would glorify you, because Christ in us is the hope of we being glorified in our bodies, to be stand side by side, the Godhead. And thank you, Eden, for speaking life to me and for making me to reflect and to think about it. And thank you, Bishop, for speaking to my heart on Sunday. And both of you spoke to my heart, and you spoke about patience. And I know that I am equipped because I have been edified by that message, by God speaking to me, that in my moments of difficulties, his patience rule. And I'll be patient and I'll say, Father, let your will be done. And I'm speaking to your heart as well. So keep calm wherever you are and say, Father, let your will be done. I'm not going to let my humanity carry me. I am going to be carried by your immortality. I'm going to be carried by your divinity. And anywhere you navigate me, I know you will speak to the storms. And at the end, you bring me to the place that I deserve to be. And at the end of the day, all glory will go back to you. And all testimonies and all witness will be you and only you. And so, brother, sister, across the world, I want you and I want your life to be shaped by this testimony and by these thoughts of mine, because it is the testimony of immortality. Continue to walk in that divinity. Continue to walk in that sonship, and know that everything will work for his good for those that love and put their confident expectation on his love. And all I can say now is, Shalom. Let that peace be with you, because that peace is also patience working in you. So let patience do the work. Shalom.